Hi everyone. So today this video is about the UN competency-based interview. So if you are at the stage when you are invited to a competency-based interview, I'm very pleased to congratulate you that you came so far and you're one step closer to your dream job. So usually when you apply for the position, then you pass exams, you can pass written assignments, and then as the final step of your selection process is the competency-based interview. It's also known as a behavioral interview, and it can be done either live, or it can be done on the phone, or it can be done through a video conference call. But anyway, the structure is the same at any type of the interview, and the purpose of the interview is to find out if your experience, if your past history can be the indicator of your future performance. So in order for you to get prepared for the interview, you need to know about the structure of it, how to answer the questions in the correct way, and what to expect at your interview. Please get yourself prepared. You cannot go to this kind of interview thinking, oh, I just had so many other interviews and I basically know what to answer. No, for the UN type of interview, you have to go there with your ready examples. So to read more about the interview and the description of it and the structure, I recommend you go to the career.un.org website. And just to read here, there is some information and tips. Now, what is very good, there is an online course that you have to pass. It tells you about the structure of the interview. So here is the link. I'll save it also in the description of my video. Strongly recommend you to go through it and to get yourself familiar with the interview itself, and with what type of questions and what type of information you are expected to provide at your interview. But also, I recommend you to go to the other website, which I share with you here. It's called hr.un.org, and here you can also see, I'll save the link in the description. Here you can also find some useful tips for the preparation, and there are very good tips before and after. So before, you can research about the department, you can review the competencies in the job opening, you can do the course, you can prepare brief life stories about your accomplishments, and practice. Yes, practice before in front of the mirror, practice with your friend, practice with your someone who already is in the system, who has already passed the interview, and who can give you some tips and advice. If you want, and if your interview is scheduled, you can email me, and I can tell you if I can practice with you together. Please ask me like for my advice, if you're willing to share. Also, there are very good useful tips here at the competency-based interview. You need to thank the panel. You need to listen to the question, try to understand, be specific and be brief. Use the structure of your answer as situation, action, result. Share information that is relevant. Be also, be professional. Don't look very stressful. Don't try to get nervous. Try to make it as a conversation about your past experience. try not to put it like as a lecture or as the presentation of your resume. Just try to answer as a question answer mode. And be concise, yeah, and yeah, watch your body language. So let's talk about these tips. So let's talk about your body posture and your look. So first, try to go there and feel about yourself comfortable. So try to look the way you try to put on the clothes that you feel comfortable and confident in about. For instance, if you are a guy and you when you put on a suit, you feel being very confident, do it. If you're a lady and if you don't feel comfortable in a skirt, but you feel more comfortable in the pants, then put on the pants. If you're not comfortable wearing heels, don't wear heels. Just try to look very business casual, professional, and don't put too much makeup, don't put crazy hair. Try to paint your nails not a very bright colors. Try to keep the interview and the focus of the interview at your answers and the way you respond, other than small details that can give a false information about you. Also, mm, let's talk about now, but don't think that because like you wear a piercing or because your hair is pink, you will not get hired. No, this is absolutely not true. The panel is not biased. It's very differentiated with different genders, cultures, and age groups, so there will be no bias. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that try to make the panel understand that you can be a good fit to the organization. Now, let's talk about the structure of your answers. So it should be situation, action, result, right? So when you prepare the examples of your from your experience, put them as the I remember there was a situation, just describe the problem, then tell and focus your answer on what you did, what was your input, and what result your action brought it to. Now let's look at an example of how you can get prepared for the interview. Okay, so let's say you are applying for a position in the general service category in New York location. So we are going to the career.un.org website, and here we can select, let's say, general service, and here we'll select New York. Okay, so let's see, here are the all positions that are available right now. So let's just pick, for instance, public information assistant G5 level. So in the job opening, you can see that it it gives you the description of the position, the responsibilities, the requirements, and here it is, the competencies. So when you are invited for a competency-based interview, it means that the interview panel will evaluate how good you are and if you can cope with the competencies for this particular position. So the panel will ask you questions relevant to the competencies in the job opening that you applied to. They will not ask you any kind of competencies. For every position, there are usually 3 or 4 competencies. So for this particular position, there is professionalism, communication, and planning and organization competency. Um, So let's say you applied for this position through Inspira, you passed the test, and then now you're invited for an interview. So at the day of your interview, the panel, usually they're made of 3 or 4 people, and each panel member will ask you a question about one competency. So, for instance, first person will ask you about professionalism competency, and here you can read the description of this competency, and you can imagine what kind of questions will be asked concerning this competency, and you can get your examples prepared. So let's say professionalism, and you're applying for the position that is called public information assistant, right? So they will ask you how good you are, how good you are at doing the job of public information assistant. So basic questions can be, and I put it in the description of this video, um, describe your success, failure, or hard work experience when you are doing any assignment as a public information assistant. And they can ask you, for instance, give me an example of a good work that you did, or give me an example of the bad work what you did and what you learned from it. So when you're building your answer, you should build your answer that shows here, for instance, look, uh, process and procedures related to communication, production and dissemination of public information. So their ability to research information from a variety of resources, show pride in work and achievements, demonstrates professional competences and mastery of subject matter. So you have to build your answer in a way that you should say that, okay, I remember my manager gave me a very important assignment that I had to submit for the donors. That's why it was the assignment should be done on a very high level. It should have been it affected um, our project. So I was able to research information from a variety of sources. What kind of resources did you use? What kind of people did you ask? What kind of tools did you use? And then you are telling. So this was situation. Now you're telling about the actions, right? What were the steps that you underwent that show you as a good professional who can cope with the assignment. Try to present your experience from the professional point of view that the people can say, okay, if he did the job that time, that he would be able to do this kind of job in future. And of course, you need to, as it says here, show pride in work and achievements. You should say that you don't have to say, oh, I'm proud of myself that I was able to do that on time, but you can say that I was very happy that I didn't let down my department. I was very happy that the result of my work made the donors happy. Or you can say that I was very satisfied when the piece of the information that I provided was published in the annual report, let's say. Try to show that some of the work that you did was tangible, that it was show them some output, some the yield, some the result that your work produced. And this can be good in the as a result part of your answer. If you can say that the job that you did was published on the website, publication, it was maybe cited somewhere, maybe put it in the brochure, in the publication, this will show you pride and the result. Don't be shy to brag about your good work. You should be confident about the work that you do. If you just answer, oh, I can do this and I can do that, this is not the answer that the panel is expecting from you. The panel tells, don't tell me what you can do, tell me what you did, and I will make a judgment if what you did was relevant to the position that is advertised right now. Now let's look at the other competency. For instance, communication. The same way. So able to speak and write clearly and effectively, listen to others, um, ask questions to clarify, two-way communication. So the questions for this kind of competency, they can look like, tell me about your correspondence, public speaking experience, or can you tell me about the time when you had to provide clear communication to your colleagues? And you should say that, for instance, yeah, I remember at my previous position we had a new policy, and as I was in charge of public information, I had to disseminate this information among my coworkers. Um, so that information, I had to be very sensitive. Um, because I knew that maybe this information would upset someone or that policy would not be taken in the best way. That's why I had to compose my email or my memo or my my um, standard procedure, for instance, in that way that it was very correct, that it was diplomatic, and at the same time it was responding to the interests of the organization and to the interests of people. So they can say, okay, so how did you manage to get the result? So you could say, well, first of all, I looked at the previous communication that was done in this manner. I did some research to find out what information I was able to find, to see how this information was presented at previous times. I also referred to the manuals, to the procedures, or to the policy, how this information should be presented. Then you can say you drafted a sample of your email, then you shared it with your manager and co-workers and asked for their opinion and input, for instance, or you send it to your maybe public information in department for clearance, but you should say it based on your previous experience. Don't say it from out of the blue. Say it the way that's why I think about very good examples that show the good quality of your work. Don't talk about the examples from your previous job when when you really had problems and you were not able to solve those problems. Present the information in a way that you are able to get the best from your past experience. And then you can say, so after all those efforts and after all the combination of the teamwork and collective thinking, I was able to present this information in the best way. I had a very good positive feedback. And you can say, okay, how did you get the positive feedback? You can say that there was conducted a survey, that you got positive feedback. Maybe people were responding to your email, or maybe you had chat over lunch, or maybe at the team meeting you asked your coworkers what was their opinion on that subject, and you got the results. So be prepared to these kind of questions, because you don't have the panel doesn't have to always push you to the right answer, but they can ask you additional questions. And if they ask you and you get stuck, if you don't know what to answer, then you can be in trouble. They can think that you created that example of your previous work. So think about the real story and try to think about all the details of the story, so when they actually ask you, you can be ready to answer. And again, when you're answering, try to answer in the way that it shows positive result of your work, positive result of your actions, of your productivity. And when you're answering, try to build your answer that it was not just all about you, that it was a teamwork, and that it was a collective thinking, and you also asked your manager's opinion on it. Because when you work in the UN, you always share, you always give comments to each other's piece of work. When you send in reports to each other, you always ask someone to clear, to proofread it for you. Because in the UN, it's not a work of one person. It's not that you are, for instance, let's say you're working at some store, and in the store they evaluate you by how many items you sold per day. In this job, um, the result is the work that is provided by many people. It's people in the field, people in headquarters, people who are organizing the policy, people who are sitting in HR, in the security field. It's all people who are at the scene, and also those people who are behind the scene. That's why you don't have to think that the work only depends on you. You have to think that the work depended on the collaboration and cooperation. Try to build your answer around these type of, this type of cooperation experience. And there is one more competency. It's planning and organization. So let's read about planning and organization. It says develops clear goals and consistency with agreed strategies, priority activities and assignment, adjust priorities as required. So for this kind of competency, the panel can ask you, okay, tell me how you personally organize yourself. Have you ever missed a deadline? Or they can ask you, tell me about the time when you had to submit a very important um, assignment to very in a very short period of time, when you had very tough deadline. What were you doing, and did you succeed or did you fail? So when you answer for this competency, you should focus your answer on telling the panel that you are very good in planning and organizing. Um, try to say that, try to tell them what kind of steps you took to submit the assignment on time. What kind of planning did you use? What kind of tools did you use? Did you use reminders? Did you use your calendar? Did you use your cell phone? Did you use email alerts? Did you use flags in the Outlook, for instance? Did you use notes? Did you use the Blackboard? Did you use the checklist that you prepared for yourself? Um, I'm sure every one of us has very good planning and organizing skills. And it's just for you to get yourself prepared how to present it in the best way. If you, for instance, don't like to take notes and you just keep everything in your head, you can say it by that I'm very good in planning and organizing in my head. So every time I wake up, I'm scrutinizing, I'm thinking about my work plan for today. Um, Maybe you can say that you don't have to put it in writing, but you can adjust your schedule in that way that it fits to your planning. For instance, you can say that, let's say you had to make a phone call for that assignment, or you had a team meeting for that assignment, or you knew that you had to organize a trip, or you knew that you had to ask someone to provide you with some piece of information, and you set the clear deadline for that person, and you were following up on the deadline. Try to think about the actions that really led to the successful implementation of your project, and show that you're very good in organizing. Don't say that, oh, I always try to provide my assignment on time. No, this is not the correct answer. Think about the past experience. Think about the example that shows your perfect organization skills clearly. For instance, you can say, I remember I had a situation when I had to submit 3 projects on the same day. It was very tough, but I was able to organize myself by providing a clear structure for every assignment. I created a very concise plan and I stick to it strictly. I worked maybe overnight. I took some work from home. I asked my manager if I could work from home so I don't have to waste time on the commute. Um, or maybe you can say that I knew that I wouldn't be able to provide that assignment on time. So I asked if my coworkers could help me with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good planning ahead. It's a good organization, you know, approach. Try Do not think about, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this, maybe I shouldn't have done the other way. No, whatever you did to get your assignment on time, this is a good indicator that you can do the same in future, that you will not let people down. Because if you don't do the project on time, then somebody else would have to do it, and it will create problem, and it will create dissatisfaction among your team. So when you build in your answer, build the answer in the way that shows your like the tools and the methods that you used at your previous challenge, and also show what clear results it gave. So you can say in the end, so as a result of my hard work, I was able to get that contribution from a donor, or as a result of my hard work, we were able to receive a grant, or as a result of that work, we were invited to a to a conference held by the ministry, let's say. Okay, think about the great examples from your the history that can make you outstanding from the other candidates, because usually for every position they will invite maybe 5, 6 people for an interview, or maybe 3 and 4, and they have to select one of these people. If you answer the same way, yes, there was a problem, I did this, and I was just able to do everything on time, it doesn't make you outstanding. It will not take you higher than any other one. Try to think what kind of benefit you brought to the organization that you worked for, to the benefits to the people who that assignment aimed for instance. Or maybe that something that you didn't even expect. Maybe, for instance, you were working on the project for the clear water, but as a result of the work, not just the clear water got the approval, but let's say it also brought attention to the environment, or to the animal protection. I mean, try to think about facts that made your work really important and outstanding, and that provided benefit not only to you. If you just say like, oh, and as a result, I received a bonus, or I received a promotion. Yes, that's a good example, but it doesn't show that it was in the benefit of other people than you. And don't forget, in the UN, we're working not only for you. You don't work. When you go to the interview, you don't say, I would like to work at the UN because they pay well, or because they provide good benefits, and they provide good health insurance. This is not the main reason why we go why we do this job. The main reason why we do this job is because we want things to work better, right? We want people to get better access to education, to health, to the humanitarian aid. We want the world be more peaceful. We want to provide less refugees. We want to provide more clear water in this world. So think how your work was how maybe your small work or maybe your big work was a piece of something big and important. And at the same time, don't make it too important. um, don't make it sound like you really you're a really big superman who is making things and changing lives to better, but try to focus on the result of your work, on the actions that led to the work. And if you just say that you were part of the team that provided that result, that good result, that best result, you will get the position. Okay. So three major tips. Don't be shy. don't don't take account for everyone. Okay, try to share and try to be part of a collaboration and cooperation teamwork. And part number three, and tip number three, structure your answers in the action result mode. So those were particular actions that brought to the big good results that made happy not only you but the team and the people who you were doing this job for. And I'm pretty sure if you practice with such examples, you'll be able to get the position to get your dream job. And again, if you feel like you would like to discuss your examples for your interview with me, please don't be shy to email me, and maybe I can give you some tips and advice on your interview, and maybe I can help you to brush it off and to prepare for it better. Okay. So if you like this video, please give me a like, because there are so many videos about just interviews, but there are no really good videos giving good recommendations and advice how to pass the interview. And believe me, I've been through many interviews, so I know exactly what they want. And I read the interview panel members, so I know exactly what the interview panel is looking into and what they're expecting from a candidate, to deliver at the interview. And I hope you all get the job that you want and make your career in the United Nations. Bye bye.